It's not for the faint of heart, ladies and gentlemen. So hold your breath, hold on to your pearls, and maybe meet your grandmother's iPad. Remy Ma has done the unimaginable in a move that has shocked romance blogs, hip-hop fandom, and even group conversations that haven't been active since 2018. We're referring to a recently leaked, astounding interview in which Remy, completely composed, unconcerned, and drinking what looks to be green tea, stared directly into the camera and declared, "I stayed loyal. But let's face it, the man was never made to please me. Please pardon me. Was Papoose recently publicly humiliated by Remy Ma? Did the former queen of Ride or Die actually say what we believe she said? There is a fire on the internet. Is not working. Threads are trembling. Because this is more than just pillow chat. Fans are going crazy. There is secondhand sadness and a full-body shudder associated with this career-ending disclosure. We're not discussing ambiguous lyrics or shade. This was painfully specific, intimate, and direct. Now, people are wondering if the Black Love fairy tale was a fraud from the start. Was Papoose aware? And above all, why now? This isn't just gossip, so fasten your seatbelt. Public destruction is what it is. Remy took the lead, my dear. It began as any other interview would. Started out with a comfortable set and dim lighting, with Remy Ma smiling and reading a script across from the presenter before devolving into complete mayhem. Between a question about the music industry and another on personal development, Remy Ma stopped, stared straight into the camera, and blurted out a phrase so raw and ferocious that it destroyed what little of her well-manicured marriage image remained. Are you curious about the truth? I was faithful, here, but let's not pretend that my loyalty equated to my happiness. Being fulfilled and loving someone are two different things. To be honest, I was never satisfied. Not physically, not emotionally. The man simply wasn't up to par. The studio left, quiet. Producers were heard to stop breathing. A clipboard fell to the floor somewhere in the back. The statement, "He didn't measure up," was a combination of an uppercut, a jab, and a slap. And there was an immediate outcry after it was posted online. Was more than a clumsy confession about a breakup? Fans could not comprehend this public emasculation. Remy and Papoose were praised for years as hip-hop's model of loyalty. Remy and Pap remained steadfast when other couples split up, cheated, unfollowed one another on social media, and even feigned being hacked. They remained strong and unflappable despite Rhee's attempt to enter prison, career comebacks, and industry upheaval, soaked in shade and being torn apart. Late last night, a burner account leaked the interview that was purportedly filmed for an unreleased documentary. People initially believed it to be AI-generated. One person remarked, "There's no way, Remy. Ma would go on camera and say that," but the internet went crazy as credible sources confirmed the veracity of the video. In less than an hour, #RemySpoke became the top trending topic throughout the country. The pieces began to come in. Her honesty was defended by other supporters. She was dragged through dirt by others. And poor Papoose, the memes began to fly before he had a chance to blink. A TikTok that went viral displayed a montage of his most romantic moments, including rapping about her during bet ciphers, hosting lavish birthday celebrations, and keeping her down for 6 years as she served time to melancholic piano music. Just to be told that he failed, the captain kept it up for years. Brutal. However, since the Fishers were always present, let's go back in time for a moment. Do you recall the red carpet occasion from last year where Remy escaped Papoose's kiss? She dismissed it, claiming she didn't want to get her lipstick smudged. Fans, however, saw the tension in her body language and the little quiver she gave when he grabbed for her hand. We disregarded it at the time. "They're just having a night," we said. As it happens, that evening may have signaled a much more serious split. It has now been revealed by several insiders that Remy had been emotionally checked out for at least 2 years. According to one former aide, she would return from gatherings with ease, feeling completely altered. Light laughed as if he had just let out a breath. Yes, the captain of Easy the Block is also complicit in this situation. Again, since as soon as the interview broke, his name began to surface like clockwork. As if creating a conspiracy board, fans began to connect the connections. Widely shared war video in which Easy yelled at queens who still yearn for kings. People at the time believed it to be clever wordplay. To a woman who has already left her marriage, it now reads like coded communications. Additionally, the hosts of that leaked interview have disappeared. No posts, no tweets, just a mysterious message on their page that says, "Y'all weren't supposed to hear that? Not yet, not yet." Does that mean there's more footage, more confessions, and more savage? Truth bombs. Production close sources say definitely yes. The full interview apparently includes even more personal revelations. From unhealed trauma to secret therapy sessions to one moment where Remy reportedly breaks down in tears, saying she tried to stay faithful to a man who never made her feel like a woman. We don't know if that segment will ever be released, but if it does, it will be the last straw. Papoose hasn't commented, and his Instagram is still frozen. Denied all demands for interviews, but one insider claimed that the leak caught him off guard and embarrassed him, saying he learned the same thing we all did. When he checked his phone after waking up, everyone was laughing at his suffering. That's the bit that stings the most, to be honest, because why say that even if Remy wasn't happy and the relationship had ended? Why should a man's whole legacy be reduced to measurements and documented? It is said to be liberating by some. Some people are referring to it as cruel. The internet is unable to quit watching in any case. Remy Ma's savage confession was also the headline of a live stream on a well-known YouTube channel. Actual conversation or castigation in public. The comments went crazy. In the midst of all of this, Easy, the block captain, tweeted. She could have just said they grew apart, but she had to emasculate him too. Another user responded, "Y'all protect men's egos more than women's truth. Let her speak. Strong women speaking the truth are only feared by weak men." We knew exactly what and who he was referring to, even without names or tags. As if that weren't enough, hacked direct messages now imply that Remy might have sought advice from a publicist before the interview on how to manage the narrative and revitalize the brand. Yes, exactly. Some people think that the entire controversy was planned. A PR bombing to destroy the wife and label and reintroduce Remy as a free, uncensored, and unrepentant power. And to be honest, it was successful if that's the case. Because she is the center of attention whether you like it or not. But keep in mind that this catastrophe is only getting started before you start writing opinion pieces or taking sides. Because a second portion of the interview surfaced just when we thought the worst had been spoken. Remy did more than only sabotage Papoose's performance in that clip. She wondered why he was in her life at all. The first clip was softer than the second. Fans may have found Rhee's previous remarks icy, but this one was glacial. She discusses more than just physical discontent in this recently disclosed excerpt from the same conversation. She explores the emotional fallout in detail. Furthermore, it's no longer merely a swipe at Papoose. Delivered with the composure of someone reading back old diary entries, it's an emotional autopsy of their entire marriage. In the video, she claims that although he was her provider and protector, he was never her partner. "I confuse loyalty with affection. In all honesty, I felt more isolated beside him than I would have in a jail cell." Quiet once more. That quiet has taken on a life of its own in this developing drama, since it encompasses not only Remy's words, but also her delivery. Nothing but clinical honesty, without anger or regret. Furthermore, Papoose's identity is being destroyed by these confessions, which are more than just painful for him because he created a whole public persona around his love for her. The second clip continues exactly where the first one ended. Stunned yet professional, The interviewer asks her what she means by alone. Remy also doesn't mince words. "I would attend performances, participate in interviews, receive accolades, and return home to a man who was unable to support me. Not emotionally, not physically." She continues by saying that there were times when she pleaded for intimacy, not just in bed, but in conversation as well, because it seemed like I was packing our whole relationship in a suitcase as he held the door open and remarked, "Good job." However, she says she only received superficial support. "He publicly declared his love for me, but it was a performative act. Pap was more in love with the concept of us than he was with the real me. Fans went into a tailspin after hearing that line. We all revere the ride or die narrative, but what happens if it turns out to be based on a one-sided ride? Heartbreak quotes and emotions flooded Twitter. Fan pages started sharing old footage of their wedding interviews in which he referred to her as his queen, and old tweets from when she was imprisoned. One of the trending posts said, "Remy didn't just close the door on her marriage, she blew up the entire house and rebuilt on a new foundation. And in the rubble, Papoose is silent again. His absence is now louder than any public statement could ever be." At least from his perspective, the love was genuine. But now it has been transformed into tragedy, content, and meme material. One meme that went viral overnight was of Papoose looking up at the sky while wearing his trademark fitted cap. The caption read, "Did I wait 6 years for her only to find out I never touched her soul?" However, is the internet. And when the drama hits this hard, the memes write themselves. Meanwhile, rumors began to circulate with an anonymous source close to the couple, claiming that wasn't the first time Remy had threatened to go public. There had allegedly been heated arguments behind closed doors, and she had warned him to stop relying on my allegiance. Although neither of them has confirmed a relationship, the patterns are unavoidable. Ezzy has been posting cryptic captions for weeks, including one that read, "Sometimes the real love story starts after the fairy tale ends." The source claimed that she felt trapped in the image of a perfect wife, even when she was emotionally drained and spiritually disconnected. She stayed for the optics, the source said, but she's been gone for years, as fans continued to analyze the interview. One shocking revelation surfaced. Remy allegedly wrote a memoir while Papoose was planning their vow renewal, and insiders claim that the manuscript contains pages detailing her emotional affair with another man. The situation becomes much more chaotic at this point. A thread with purported behind-the-scenes photos was uploaded on X, formerly Twitter, by a third party who claimed to be an intern on the interview production crew. They said that Remy had second thoughts about doing the interview altogether. In one post, before the camera started rolling, she was trembling, pacing back and forth and saying, "They're not ready for the truth." However, as soon as the lights came on, she changed into a calm, clear, and icy person. And the public record now contains that version of Remy Maui, not the tenacious wife or the warrior poet, but the lady who abandoned her reputation. In addition to her husband, reactions from the industry are flooding in. Typically, Fat Joe, even Cardi B, who has always been outspoken about her own troubled love life, liked a tweet that said, "Loyalty doesn't mean suffering. Stop judging her like she owed y'all silence." The ardent supporter then shared a video that said, "Love is love, but respect is everything. Some things don't need to be said." What comes next? The series that this interview was a part of, with episode titles like Queen Without a Throne and Unspoken Rooms, still scheduled for publication next quarter, according to leaked production emails. According to sources, after learning the tone, Papoose declined to participate. At first, he thought it would be a family documentary that would showcase their heritage. However, after watching the video, he completely backed out, since he hasn't approved any joint footage. Producers may choose to omit or blur his face in older clips. The sponsors are now circling, Everybody wants a piece of Remy's broken crown, including podcast networks, streaming platforms, and magazine covers. Because she has become the story, whether you like it or not. Not merely a wife or a rapper, but the woman who dared to express what no wife ever dares to utter. That she was never truly content. That she made a decision. That she lingered longer than necessary. Fans are left feeling conflicted between admiration and indignation. We've never seen Remy Ma like this before. That much is certain. However, another message surfaced right after we believed it was ended, and the second clip had said it all. It wasn't a clip this time. A voicemail was left. It's an unsteady video of what appears to be a furious dispute between Remy and a voice that sounds familiar. If I wanted to embarrass you, I would have said more. You think I told them everything. She says in the message, which was the final straw that set a circus on fire. It is muffled at first, the of a parking lot, as if they are aware that they are recording something hazardous. The individual taking the video is panting heavily. Then, as sharp as ever, came Remy Ma's voice. Do you believe I told them all? Please, Pap. I omitted around 80% of it. The illusion of control vanished in an instant. One thing became painfully obvious from that voicemail. There was more to the tale than the leaked interview. It was only the surface. A sneak peek at something more profound, embarrassing, and maybe irreparable. What specifically did she not say? When she finally showed it, fans were already going crazy. Additionally, Remy doesn't yell in the voicemail that went viral on X. She doesn't weep. She speaks with a cool, assured, and strategic tone. She continues, I appreciated what we had, so I spared you. Don't force me to retract that. Social media went completely crazy. As usual, the streets went wild after someone tweeted, if what we heard was her being nice, imagine what's in the vault. Another person said, Remy is playing chess while Papoose just realized he's not even on the board. Fans at the moment brushed aside old texts, live stream footage, and a rediscovered 2020 interview in which Papoose unintentionally slipped, saying, sometimes I feel like I love harder than she does. It's being replayed now with a fresh background. What if Pap had known all along? What if she had already psychologically moved out and he had been holding on the whole time? Even more unsettling, however, there is currently a hypothesis that Remy spent months documenting private events and chats, that like corporations planning for a rebrand. She was quietly recording every breakdown in order to prepare for a public pivot. A new era, a new persona Remy, the untamed. Not Mrs. Mackey. There are even voice notes from diaries that could leak, according to insiders. According to purportedly recorded personal comments on her phone, she talks openly about being stuck in the ideal woman's image for a man who only ever saw her in a crown. If accurate, her remarks would change public opinion once more, portraying her as a lady who is at last taking back control of her story rather than as a villain. However, not everyone is persuaded. Actually, Papoose's the inner circle has begun. Too strongly but silently pushed back. When no one would hold her down, a putative cousin went live and claimed that Pap did. She called it healing even though she broke that man in 1,000 ways. Some truths are only revealed when someone wants to sell something, as even Rhee's old buddy, a former stylist, warned. Therefore, the issue now goes beyond treachery or bedroom tea. It has to do with trust. It's about what happens when private suffering becomes public. When affection is turned into confessionals and clips, and when loyalty is turned into leverage. At last, Papoose was seen by himself at a peaceful Harlem cafe, headphones in a hoodie. A fan attempted to welcome him. He gave a nod, remained silent, and continued his walk. The video was posted to TikTok along with a description. His breathing conveys his sadness. Just silence, no press, no announcement. Up until today, a fresh post with a caption and a plain black square was the first since the hurricane. Silence can sometimes be a sign of dignity. The crowd went wild. Support flooded in. It was well received by celebrities. The comment sections became virtual hug circles. Because people weren't only upset with Remy at this time, they shared Papoose's grief, mourning the picture of love that seemed so uncommon, so untouchable, so sacrosanct. But she doubled down, Remy. She shared a mirror selfie less than 2 hours later, captioning it unapologetic, unattached, unbothered. Just a lady in complete control of the fallout. She caused no ring, no reference to Pap. With ease, he reappeared. There was a brief leak of a freestyle session in a studio, not breaking up with anyone. The slash was already vacant. I just strolled across the rubble, kissed her suffering, and then asserted my claim. The internet trembled. One commenter stated, "You already dropped the album at this point. Ended a marriage." Others began to wonder, was this all planned? A Doizer soft launch, a marketing strategy cloaked in heartbreak. Because, let's not forget, Remy recently trademarked Untamed Queen. According to sources, she is working on a book, a podcast, and yes, even a stage play based on her journey through self-discovery, sacrifice, and silence. The first preview event is set for next month. But if you thought this was the end, wait, new documents were just filed in New York civil court, sealed but labeled under emotional defamation and reputational damage. And guess who's listed as plaintiff? Papoose. If confirmed, this could be the beginning of a legal battle unlike anything hip-hop has ever seen. In any case, the Remy Papoose love story, once immortalized in bars and bows, is now lying in ruins, broadcast for millions of people. Apparently, the man in the middle walked away with the cleanest slate. Or did he? Rumor has it that an old flame of Eazy's is now getting ready to speak out. It's no longer about who said what on camera, but rather about the cost of public pain, the cost of being dragged when you stayed silent, and the cost of loving loudly and being left like a meme. Some fans are pleading for a reconciliation. Wasn't the only queen he was entertaining, is the tweet from a verified account. The next chapter appears to be writing itself already. As the smoke clears and the headlines fade, we're all left wondering, was it worth it? Or did she win the war and lose the one man who truly believed in her? Now that the microphone has been dropped, the truth bombs have detonated. And the internet is in stunned silence. What comes next? Ultimately, isn't just about one interview. It's about truth as currency. About what happens when someone decides to light their entire history on fire and walk through the ashes like a runway. The lines are blurred, the wounds are open. The world is watching every move like it's the last episode of The Messiest reality show we never asked for but can't stop binging on. But we want to hear from you. Are you on the side of Remy Ma, the liberated queen who is finally speaking her truth after years of silent suffering? Or are you on the side of Papoose, the silent king who deserved better? Or just a placeholder in a story that was never really about him? Remember, this story is not over, and with more leaks, reactions, and even more confessions lurking in the shadows, the next episode could happen at any time. So make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because here at Celeb Tycoon, we don't just break the news, we break the internet one scandal at a time. If you thought this was crazy, wait to see what leaks next. Bring back real love, soldier, shattered in real time, or the team will be everyone's toxic. Remain brave.